So this is going to be an overview of milestone 2 blockout turn-in, okay? And I thought it might be good just to even grade myself on one of the examples just to see if I can pinpoint some of the things you guys need to be very aware of, okay? There we are. We're back. Okay. So I'm going to look at the grading script and kind of use it, or the grading sheet, and use that as my kind of go-to here. So I'll start right off at the first column. Video reference. Clear staging on videos to show actions with strong poses, high level of performance, and acting out of actions, performance taken seriously, usefulness of work moving forward. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to ignore the analysis really right now. The idea is, how good of a performance did I do? And it's the stuff we talk about. It's like staging. Is it staged well? Is it acted out well as far as the performance and the force? I think I did fairly well. I think the one thing I could beat myself up about maybe is having more of a, I don't know exactly what the first pose is. It looks aggressive, or maybe a little aggressive, I don't know, or a little angry, but I probably could have pushed that. And even the last pose, it's more, I guess I called it surprise, but it could have been more surprised. The staging on the last one, as you can see with my indication on my analysis, could have probably been a little bit clearer too. Ultimately, though, obviously the physicality of it lends itself to being something that's really helpful in order to figure out how to move this character. If I were to actually grade myself on this, I'd probably give myself more like a 92 to say definitely room for improvement, but very useful moving forward. Okay. Analysis on the reference. There I'm going to beat myself up a little bit too. I think I basically got the basic idea of, what I'm going to need to build this thing, the major idea, and I like to exaggerate. That's one of my strengths as an animator. So I think there's a lot there to talk about force and things to consider. I don't think I was too clear enough on, like, say, rotate Y, what's going on with my body and the rotate Y. And there's a lot of twist where the hips and the upper body kind of, oppose each other a little bit there. I also probably could have gone and done another tie down pass to try and really, really work out the actual poses a little bit more and get a little bit more in depth. So I'd say, again, a good rough interpretation of the animation, but if I really wanted to say that this could be analyzed more, I would definitely, this is more to me like an 89, an 88, or something like that. Okay. Definitely not in the 100 realm. So let's move to the blockout. So scene contains all necessary key extreme poses. Okay. Major anticipations, holds, contacts, passing. Well, really, if you've done your job on the reference analysis, you've probably done your job on getting the basically what you need here. Okay. Contacts, passing, storytelling, and extreme poses. Scene submitted and play blasted and stepped. Scene is on target for turn-in. Okay, so my play blast is in stepped. Okay, my scene, I believe, is in stepped. And again, if you're turning this in, you should put your scene in stepped. Select your whole character. Go into your graph editor. I don't mind if you work out of stepped. When you turn it in, though, in the blockout phase, just turn everybody to stepped. So if it's an auto tangent, no big deal. Just grab your character, hit stepped, and make sure it's in stepped. And you're good to go. Also, too, notice, like, when I'm looking at my scene, it's kind of set up the way I'm working with my work camera and my image plane and my shot camera here set up. Clean up your scene, put stuff on layers for turn-in and stuff like that. Organize your scene so when I'm in here and I'm looking around, I can kind of get around a little bit easier. So as far as scene is on target, I'd say, yeah, for someone who turned it in something like this, I'd give them 100. Pose mechanics, okay, that's within the realm of I'm going to just jump right into your Maya scene, and I'm going to look and thumb through your poses, one by one, and look to see, are you making good decisions on where the weight is, okay, in 3D space, which hip is up in the contrapposto you're using, is it in balance, Here's my anticipation before my main anticipation. Again, balance looks good. Weight is starting to come over. This hip is flattening out a little bit as I come down onto it. I probably could have pushed this hip up a little bit more, okay? Peak here, that hip is up, nice line there, good weight, feels good in context. Contact, nice straight in, hip is down, upper body is dragging a bit. Boom, we're coming down, and that hip he just came down onto pushes up to support, so that feels better, and then we settle in and then basically end up into our last pose. So overall, pose mechanics pretty good. They probably could be finessed just a hair here and there, so for me, I give myself like a 96 on pose mechanics. I would hope I could hit at least a 96. Pose staging, that's really through the shot camera, so either here, or actually it's nice to do it in the inside of Maya, and I can just tap through and really look. Staging, I'm not going to worry about the camera too much here. I'm just going to worry about the staging. Hands could be a little clearer, right? They're a little kind of crimped and ugly, even through here. I could stage my hands much better. Those hands feel nice and loose, and they have a good silhouette, much more appealing, right? Those are staged pretty well. Overall, the poses are staged pretty well, right? Good lines and stuff like that happening, good negative space. Nice, that hand being wrapped into that negative space in the arm, curling into that, makes that pose nice. Contact a little murky, right? Maybe could have worked to try and get that a little bit clearer. They're a little bit straight on my down pose and a little bit kind of murky with the hand there. Maybe I could have pulled it out some. Here, again, even this pose, got that alien popping out of his chest whenever possible. Can you show a little bit more of the elbow in that case, all right? And then the staging on the shot camera that it's going to wind up ending up in here is pretty clear. So I'd say staging not quite as clean as I'd like it at times. So it's not quite a 96, so maybe again it's a little bit closer to like a 91 or something like that. Definitely could, or even a 90, could push that. Camera, rule of thirds and stuff like that. So you guys are required to use maximum of 2 camera shots. You can stick with 1, it's not a big deal. But if you do use a camera cut, it needs to be a cut. Don't animate your camera. So once again, select your camera if it's animating and decide to put it either in step or put it the change to be on 1 frame, as you can see here, so it just cuts from one to the other. Okay. We just want to decide when that cut happens and make sense of when you think it's going to happen. That can be adjusted. All right. And really, if I'm looking at this, does the composition and camera angle support the idea? My character is going to go for more of a, and again, I fault myself on the pose. It could be a stronger pose to say more forceful or aggressive or whatever I was going for, into more surprise or whatever. And both of them fall short of that. But more of an upshot. My character is a little bit, he's not quite on center. He's a little bit more into the thirds, but I probably could have pushed that more, and I could have pushed this shot a little bit more. I feel like we're farther away. Maybe if we were like a little bit closer either, would this feel better as a stronger shot like that, more aggressive that way. That may have worked better, and then we pop back to a farther and more surprise shot here. And then this shot too, I like the idea of it here, but it doesn't really seem like it has a lot of, force in it. Should it be back here and a little bit more in the thirds? That feels better to me. Or should it have been over here? But now I'm turned away from the camera, so I would definitely probably get it more in the thirds here. Maybe a little upper too. That feels better when I do that for some reason. Okay. But overall not bad. If I were to grade myself on my camera composition, interesting camera angle, continuity from shot to shot, if applicable, that's if you're using 2. I don't think there's a major problem in talking about that. If I look at what I normally have, continuity in shot means when it cuts, where is your eye looking? And here, not that good. I'm looking over here, and my character is kind of slowing down, and then when I'm stopping, my character is going to pop and be over there to the right. So the continuity makes your eye jump a little bit, but my character has stopped at this point or slowed down before we cut and see him in the last pose. And then slump into the last pose, so it gets a little bit quiet. But continuity could be a little bit better. The idea is you're directing your viewer. Where's your viewer looking as the shot cuts, and your character was looking over here? If your character jumps too much, it could be a problem. Okay, so think of that, and that's something you can adjust as you work through your scene. So composition and all, not bad again. 89 for that. Use of rig, technical stuff. Did I use the rig properly. Again, I'll select your whole character. I'll look at the rig and frame it up. I'll look inside the dope sheet. If you guys don't know what the dope sheet is, Google it and check it out. But it will show me all your controls, and it will show me all the corresponding keys. And what I should be seeing is basically straight up and down. I should see the whole character being keyed if I select it, unless you're deciding not to key certain controls because you're not utilizing them. If they're being animated with, you should key them on all your main keys and all your main breakdowns and extremes, okay? And pose the whole character and move the whole character, not part by part, okay? So there's that. There's also, are you using proper foot controls and stuff like that? Okay, are you using too much on your feet? If you're bringing your foot up in the air, and here actually I can beat myself up. I have the heel ball as my foot comes up in the air, but I also have rotates. This could really be cleaned up. Okay, at this point, like the heel ball, I'll just put my auto key on here. If it's on out of the air and I'm using my rotates, well, don't use your heel ball anymore. So I'll get rid of that. And then if I want more rotate, then I just put more rotate on X. But I don't want to use the heel ball and the rotates together because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Then that's two things driving it. So check your rig. Are you being smart about and thoughtful about how you're using it? Once it hits the ground again, that foot, did I zero out the rotate X? Okay. Did I zero out the rotate Z? The only thing I can be using when my foot hits the ground is rotate Y. Did I zero it out in Y to put it on and stage it onto the ground, or put it on flatly on the ground, and then switch to the proper heel ball channel to hit with my heel first? Okay. Dragging my toe a little bit, right? So are you smart about what you're using? Okay. Main control curve, guys. Don't be animating your character with your main control curve. If you used it on the first milestone for the strong posing, that's not a big deal. We're not animating with our character from pose to pose. In this case, we want our character moving smoothly, and we don't want everything moving the whole time. So do not animate with your main control curve. You'll be moving your character with his feet and leaving that behind. Okay. Last thing too is really if I select my character and I tap through, you don't want your keys on half frames or decimal point frames. You want them on whole frames, 17, 24, 33. If you're moving your timing around and you grab your keys and you grab the outside of the move tool here, the move tool's in the middle. The outsides are scale tools. If you've scaled your keys by mistake or on purpose, and then you leave them that way, what you're going to find is your keys are on decimal points, so they're not on whole frames, and that's a problem. If you render this, it won't render 37.36. Okay. If you did that, you need to make sure that you snap your keys. So select your keys again, right click, go to snap, and hit snap. Okay, and again, Google that stuff and you can find other ways to snap your keys. But if you're scaling your keys, it will leave them on decimals, and make sure you fix that. So I could look a little closer on mine, but I don't want this to get too long. But I'm assuming I had a little more messy things on my foot setup, so not bad. 90, okay, or 92. A couple of feet things that could have been cleaner. Turn in procedures, convention, file format, and submit it properly, and okay, all that stuff. Well, I didn't submit this, so I'm not going to give myself any weighting on that. Anyhow, hopefully, guys, that sort of clues you in a little bit to looking at your turn-in and your block-out. Obviously, I feel like I forgot something here. Let's see. Camera, rig use. Nope. Pose mechanics. Block-out. Yeah. Again, I have all my extremes, passing poses, and stuff like that? So yeah, I was in target for. All right, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.